Hey guys, welcome back to Burner Brother Antiques. Today is a great day because we have Kate.
I'm tangled in my pickle.
She's tangled in her pickle already. It happens.
I'm in a pickle.
She's in a pickle. She's going to get a photo with a pickle in a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. So Kate, for probably everybody already knows who you are, but just in case there's somebody out there that doesn't know who you are, tell us who you are.
I am Kate. I am Follow
Kate.
That Bug Vintage.
Follow That Bug Vintage, absolutely. So what's really interesting is I met Kate for the first time, 8 weeks ago? 12 weeks ago?
I don't know what day it is today, so I could not tell you what day it was then.
but very recently, Jocelyn introduced us,
Yes.
and we met the first time in Donaldsville.
Yes, my good friend Jocelyn had come to see you.
Yeah.
And I came to see her.
Yes.
And look what happened.
And look what happens. And now we went, blacklight hunting in the dark last night.
That was awesome.
It was awesome. So, Kate, I always like to talk first. Like, how did you get interested in doing this kind of thing, buying and selling, collecting? Like, give us some backstory on that.
My mom.
Yeah, tell me about
My mom, we grew up in this little town that had an antique row.
it. Okay.
And she was old school, like living in 1950s, even though it was the 90s and 80s and yada yada. And we would go around to all the little antique shops.
Yeah.
And she would pick out the things with the best faces, and she had a sickness for the French antiques.
Okay.
And she just really appreciated the older, finer things. So I grew up.
You grew up as a
that.
kid. You were going to, so what's the first thing you remember buying yourself?
Grab bags.
Grab bags? What's a
grab bags of miniatures. There was this little store, and everything was unaffordable. I mean, it was expensive. But at the corner at the door, they had a bucket full of miniatures and grab bags, and they were in brown paper bags, and they were stapled shut, and you had a $5 option and a $10 option. Okay. And you just gave them $5 or $10.
And then you got what was in it.
And you just got the bag, and you open it up.
So what was in it? The one that sticks to your memory the most?
They had like the little Cracker Jack charms and little bubblegum toys. Okay. There would be ones that had like little ceramics. I mean, Hagen Renegers, which is so funny to me now because they don't sell for $5. Yeah. They're more than that, but yeah, and like little bone china miniatures from Japan and things like that. Okay. Just fun stuff. Like, I'm talking about the size of your fingernails items, just in a little bag. So fun.
For $5. Mm-hmm. And how old were you? Do you remember?
I think the first one I remember, I think I was in 3rd grade. Okay.
Now, so you got the bag, did you end up putting stuff on your shelves and keep it, or what did you do with the stuff after you got it?
I loved the trinkets. I had every surface full in my bedroom of trinkets. Trinkets.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, because I actually didn't have many friends growing up, because in 3rd grade...
That's hard to believe.
I didn't have many friends. I was kind of a strange child, and then my mom drove a 73 Bug, and she would drop me everywhere in it. She wouldn't let me get on the bus. She wouldn't let me walk to school. She would drive me in it. So all the kids thought that was weird. And then when I was in 3rd grade, I got very sick, and I got a bad case of chicken pox. And I was in the ICU for, I think it was almost 2.5 weeks.
Really?
And I missed a month of school, and I came back, and I was covered in these terrible scars.
Oh, man.
And I was very short, believe it or not. And now, I was covered in scars everywhere, and they'd call me names like cow and stuff like that. And so mean. I would just hang out with my mom. Yeah. Because what else are you going to do?
Right. So you and your mom hung out a lot, and you started picking up the antiques and building memories with mom and doing that sort of thing.
Yeah, and every time something would happen, like I had to go to the doctor or something, I would throw such a fit. And then the treat would be we'd get to go pick up a grab bag,
cool.
and that would keep me quiet for an hour.
And you were in 3rd grade, you said, when that happened? That's got to be rough. So, I mean, how was the 3rd grader? 9? 8, 9?
Something like that, yeah.
Man, that was rough.
It was pretty rough.
That was rough.
It was pretty rough, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you got through that.
Yeah, me too.
Well, you don't have any issues with people liking you now. Like, your friends are just, you've got friends everywhere.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how the tables turned. I think that's a thing that a lot of people experience. People who were bullied early in life end up coming out on top, and the people that were the bulliers are,
hard to find a friend. Wow.
Good luck to you.
Good luck. That is so funny. So backstory: Kate had no friends. Now she's got thousands of friends.
Yeah.
Started out antiquing with grab bags with mom, and you said something that she drove the bug.
Yes.
Okay, so is that how you got your handle? Follow that bug. Is that also from some of your mom there?
Yes, very much so. That you don't know the story of the
No,
bug?
I have no idea.
You've never heard the story
I've
of the
never
bug?
heard the story.
I usually dodge the story of the bug, but I'll tell you the story of the
I
bug.
would love to have the story of the bug.
The story of the bug is my mom bought a 1972 Volkswagen Beetle, brand new,
Okay.
from Tyson's for a couple $100. I still have the receipt.
Brand new for a couple $100.
Yeah,
Imagine
and
that.
she was scared of planes.
Yeah.
And she was scared of newer cars. None
Okay.
of her other family drove ever. She was the only person to drive.
Okay.
And she drove this car for 40, almost 40 years.
Wow.
40 something years.
Okay.
I think the last time it drove was in 2000 and gosh, it's gonna take me a second. Must have been about 2013, 14.
Okay.
So it was the only car for years.
Wow.
And she moved to California and back in it. She would drive. If she had to go to California, she'd drive the bug.
She'd drive the bug.
She was nuts.
What? I
So
know
thought
where
it was
you got
normal.
it.
I thought it was normal, of course.
Yeah.
And so I grew up in this car. And my mom ended up getting sick. My dad finally made her sell it. And it was so funny because I love this story. When her dad was in the hospital, he all came to say goodbye and we were all gathered around. And his last words were, get Diane a new car.
Oh.
Because he was just worried about
Just
her
worried
safety.
about her
For
safety.
me, I was like, she loves the thing, but now I
Right.
know it's
Right. It was
not
like
safe.
safe.
It's
Yeah.
not safe.
Wow.
And so my dad took the car and sold it.
Okay.
And she didn't leave the house. She became very depressed. She
Oh.
was very upset.
Over the car as well.
Over the car. That's what it was. She just was very
Okay.
upset. And so my dad bought her a Mini Cooper. It sat in the driveway untouched for over a year, and then my mom ended up getting sick, and I had just bought a house, and sitting outside. I've never driven a car at this point ever. I've never even started a car because I
Okay.
just had the Volkswagen bug.
Right.
It's hard to sneak out of the house with
Right,
a Volkswagen
right,
bug.
right.
You gotta know how to drive that thing. It's really loud. And so sure enough, I'd never driven a car before because I grew up in the city. And sitting outside the day I moved into this house was a yellow 73 Volkswagen bug for sale. And it was the day after she passed.
Oh wow.
The day after she passed, I had movers come. It was a nightmare. It was the worst day I can remember. And that car was sitting out there, and I didn't ask any questions, and I just called the number, and then I walked over to the lady's house, and I gave her the money, and that was my first car.
That was your first car.
Yeah, and I'll never sell it. It's a member of the family, as
Yeah.
far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So
That is so cool. I had never heard that.
that's the bug. That's the bug story.
So now we know the bug. So now Kate has taken Follow That Bug to a new level. It's just so our viewers will understand this. And you have traveled the country just in the past year. How many antique malls have you been to?
So I tried to count actually the last time I came by after. I thought it would be fun to count how many. And I lost track at 300.
So over 300 antique malls in the past year.
Calendar year.
12 months, the past 12 months.
Yes.
Yeah. That is incredible. So she has seen every kind of mall, every kind of thing for sale. And you are selling currently on Whatnot.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about that. How did you get started selling on Whatnot?
Well, I ran a pretty successful Etsy shop, but I was getting bored. And of course, my good friend Jocelyn went over to Whatnot, and I didn't like the live aspect of it. I didn't like.
Really?
I was really nervous about it. I was
Can you
really
imagine Kate
uncomfortable.
being nervous?
Well, I was nervous about starting YouTube. I felt like it's silly. I was like, who's going to watch
gonna
me?
watch it?
And
Right.
You know,
Right.
I just all those like insecurities that most people have. And I remember starting it, and I was so nervous. And then I thought, well, wait a minute. The whole thing is it's live. You can do anything. And I'm sitting here in my living room being like, all right, next, and next, and next. And I'm like, this is kind of boring.
Mm-hmm.
I could do anything. And so then I started driving across the country and selling live from the road. And then I think when it finally snapped that I was like whatnot devoted, I was in Oklahoma City, and I had scheduled a live sale for I was in Oklahoma, and I'd scheduled a live sale for that evening, and I was about 5-6 hours from Cadillac Ranch in Amarillo, which is one of my bucket list things to see. And I thought, what if instead of streaming the sale at the hotel, I stream it at Cadillac Ranch?
Oh, wow.
Because
why
who
not?
gets to see that? I mean, it's in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
It's very hard to get to. And so I drove straight there, and it started storming. It was crazy, the winds and rain and all that. And I got there a couple minutes before my sale, and I was like, well, I just drove all the way here. I'm not going to stop now. A little rain and wind in the desert never killed anyone.
Not yet.
And I just started selling. I had these Hagen Reneker miniature cat figurines.
It's so cool.
And they were blowing out, I was like trying
Did you guys see
hard,
this? Yeah.
sitting in the dirt, in the rain, in the wind, in the middle of nothing. And it kind of clicked for me.
It was like, this is it.
The response was not what I expected, because I thought people were going to be like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And swipe away. And people loved it. And it kind of clicked for me that was really cool, and that, I feel very blessed because I get to do a lot of things that not a lot of people can do.
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's not like
it's not normal.
the easiest thing to do. So I just, and then I was just like, man. And then I did Salvation Mountain in California outside Bombay Beach, and I just had so much fun going to all these places I'd wanted to go to since I was a kid. But of course, I didn't think I was going to drive ever.
Really?
I was scared of driving.
Scared of driving. And now you're driving like all over the country.
Now I drive everywhere, yeah. And so I just started driving to all these places I'd always wanted to see and doing live sales from it. And it was unfortunately before they had the multicasting.
Oh yeah.
So they're lost forever. Yeah. But now that they have it, who knows?
Right.
Who knows?
Right. So you did a sale a week or two ago, and you were in New York City.
I did.
Downtown in
I
Times
was at
Square,
Rockefeller
right?
Center.
Rockefeller
Yeah,
Center.
I had done this 12 Days of Christmas thing where I was gonna, because I was like, I've already gone across the country 3 times in the past year. What am I gonna do to keep it interesting? And then I said, well, I'm gonna start doing these theme sales for 12 days, which was a horrible idea in hindsight. Horrible idea.
Horrible idea.
Won't do it again.
Won't do it. It
But
was
you
a one
live
and done.
learn. But the last one was in New York City, and I thought, what would be more fun than selling a bunch of ornaments outside the Christmas tree of America?
The Christmas tree of America.
Yeah.
And you're selling. So how did it do? Like a lot of interest? Did people show up for the show? Like you have
It wasn't even my biggest show, honestly.
Really?
It was
Okay.
it was a small show.
Wow.
But it was more about the experience than it was. And I was careful. I didn't want to bring anything that was extremely fragile or breakable or extremely valuable, because I carried this, priority mailbox from the Pennsylvania border to BWI on the Amtrak all the way to Soho, where I was staying, and then downtown, and then back uptown for the whole day, walking around New York City with this huge priority mailbox. So I didn't want to bring anything that was
you can't have it. You can't break it.
Because I was like, there's a chance I might not come back with
full
this
of marbles
box.
the next time or something. Make it easy.
Come back with
next
this
one.
box.
That is so cool. So interesting is as I get to know Kate more and more, the more I want to say profound I am about your life, but also your passion for stuff in antiques and how you value your relationships with people and stuff. It's off the charts. Like you're genuine.
Thank you.
Not a lot of people are.
Well, that's what I was thinking when Pat said we went to Pat's house last night, and she was talking about how it became memories, and that's what it is. I see people who have so much stuff, they literally don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
But it's just stuff. It's when it's like a memory, that sparks it. Like the ties. She wanted a souvenir, and that's how she ended up with all those ties.
She got thousands of ties because of a souvenir.
Like when there's some depth behind it, it makes it way more interesting. And then it becomes something else. It evolves. So my love for like the weird little miniatures involved into this whole thing. You know, it's so cool.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about you told me one time you were an art major. And
Yes.
can we talk about your degree a little bit, or your studies? Or,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about that. What happened there?
Well, I had originally started as wanting to be a fashion designer. Shocker.
Fashion.
Shocker.
Unfashionable, fashionable.
And I was terrible at the measures and the technical drawing. I couldn't, and I had no patience for it. So I was living in New York at the time doing that, and it wasn't for me. It was too technical. And then I ended up getting a job, actually, before. I got a very good job.
Okay, where at?
I got it at the Phillips Collection in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
It's America's first museum of modern art.
Okay.
And I ended up working there for 8 years.
8 years at the museum.
And you couldn't buy that experience.
Yeah.
But towards the end, I started wanting to do something more, and of course, I had all this stuff going through my brain as working in a creative environment, kind of brings along. And I ended up going to school for photography.
Okay.
And I wanted to do bookbinding on the side.
Bookbinding.
Bookbinding.
Okay.
Yeah. And
what is that? Bookbinding. What do you mean?
Making books.
Okay.
I love to make little books. I
did not know that.
I would do the screen printing and woodcuts and all the different types of etching and all print. I did all the printmaking classes, and then I would go to the bookbinding class, and we'd make books. It was crazy.
That is fun.
And I would take the boss.
How long did you do that?
3 years.
3 years. Okay.
And I would take the boss up to New York on the weekends and go to the fun little craft stores that they have up there where you can't get that stuff anywhere else except for New York.
Yeah.
And I'd make all these fun little books, and I'd do the photography on the side, and I actually became pretty successful at the photography aspect.
What'd you do with the books?
Oh, they're in a box somewhere. They're in a box somewhere in my closet, in my crazy closet.
In the crazy
of hell.
closet file. Okay. All right. Next time you come, bring a book.
The closet of death.
I'd love to see one of those. See what it was.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. I would love to do that, but I wanted to do it anonymously because when I did the photography, I got some pretty good recognition. Honestly, I got pretty lucky because I ran in a pretty good circle, and I got some gallery shows, and I actually got this Washington Project of the Arts recognition, where it's this big gala, and they auctioned off my stuff, and it's sold for crazy stupid money. Even today, I can't believe it. I mean, I think one of the little photos I took was like $800 something. For me, that was insane.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like Joe Schmo.
Right.
And,
right. No one. You're sitting here taking photos, and
yeah.
they're selling a gallery auction and bringing big money.
But the more success I had with that, the more attention I had with that, and the more questions I kind of got, and I didn't know how to answer, and I wasn't at a point where I was ready for any type of attention. And then, of course, my mom got sick, and I just...
So she actually got sick in the middle of all that.
Towards the
I didn't
end,
realize that. I thought it was earlier in life. Okay.
No, towards the end, yeah.
Okay.
So, and I cut everything. I left my job at the museum. I stopped doing photography, and I just started over, basically.
Yeah.
I basically lost my mind.
Lost your mind.
Yeah. So I basically lost my mind, and I had this house I just bought that I was going to make into an Airbnb, and
You did?
and I threw all my attention into that, but I wasn't in my right state of mind to be running a business, and I let it kind of toil it down, and I would buy fun cars instead of plumbing, and the house kind of imploded. But and then I didn't know what to do, so now I do this.
Now you do this. Are you having fun?
Yes, I've never had more fun in my life.
Really?
I've never had more fun in my life.
Isn't that like a big part of how we have to approach life, though, is to enjoy it? Like what you're doing right now, is just being free and enjoying and having fun.
And it's so cool too, because it's kind of inspiring, because it was always so unattainable to me. If you had asked me when I was a little kid what I wanted to do, I wanted to have, of course at the time, I wanted to have a little store where I could have creative rain of the walls and all that, and do like weird displays and kind of tie everything I liked into one, and have a shop of like antiques and weird stuff, and the fact that that's basically what I do now on a larger scale is insane.
It's a dream job.
I know, and for a long time not a long time, for a decent amount of time, my dad, who's super old school, was like, that's not a job.
It's not a job.
That's not a job.
How is he? What does he think now? Does he change his mind?
He thinks it's a job.
Okay,
He
that's
says,
good.
I know you're very busy working, but,
But give me a call when you can.
give me a call when you can.
That's so cool. So you've got his approval now. It's like the dad
Yeah.
finally said, "Yeah, you're going the right way." I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I dedicated every moment of time to it because I didn't want to fail. Because what else am I going to do?
Right.
What am I going to do?
Right. Like you put all your eggs in this basket. Like,
Yeah.
this is who I am and what I'm going to do, and let's go.
Yeah, I don't want to do something that makes me unhappy. And
No.
I'd gotten a little taste of not having to take the train into work every day and worry about what my hair looked like and all that. And I was like, man, I couldn't go back to that if my life depended on it.
Yeah, that's interesting. When I was young, I remember my dad working at a factory, and so he would come home every day and he would complain about his job.
Yeah.
And I made a decision when I was like 13 or 14. I'm never going to do that. I don't want to do a job where I come home and have to complain that I hate being there. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't every day that he complained, but you could just tell, like, it wasn't fulfilling. He was worn out. He had great friends there and stuff, but I'm like, I want to live a life where I choose what I get to do and when I get to do it.
Exactly.
And have fun in it, you know? And
Yeah.
experience all that it has to offer. That's cool.
Yeah.
Same thing. That's awesome. Guys, this is Kate. Last night, though, let's talk just for a few minutes. We've never done anything like this here at the Antique Center. So last night, you want to share? Like, what was from your perspective, what did we do?
Well, from my perspective, I drove 400 something miles to get here. I went to 5 antique malls along the way, and when I pulled up, opened the doors, and everybody was wearing checkerboard, my notoriously favorite pattern, of course, checkerboard hats and accessories. It was so cool. And then I sold off the cats, and then boom, the lights went out, and we got on the mobile wheelchairs, which, by the way, kudos to you for letting me do that. I can barely drive
I didn't know you
Ford.
couldn't drive, or we may not have done
I can
that.
barely drive a Ford. I mean, it was kind of like a Volkswagen.
It's kind of like a
It was kind of like a Volkswagen.
We gave her the slow ones.
Yeah. And then we went around and with the black lights and saw what we could see that glowed. And
Yeah.
it was so cool. And we picked a few items for you guys, and people went nuts.
It was crazy.
It was so much fun.
It was.
It was a really special
And
experience.
Janet got on while we were doing that. She told us this morning that she was answering questions because we couldn't really read the comments and driving. And Janet was like, everyone was asking, "Hey, can we do this at night too? Can we do this?" And Janet's like, "No, this is, I don't know what they're doing. They're gone rogue." It was fun.
It was so fun. And I have to say, I'm usually pretty good about reading the chat, but as you noticed at Pat's house last night, there are times where I turn off.
Just turn off.
I turn off.
Yeah.
I turn off and I focus on what's happening in that moment, because it is really special that, like I said, like you get to have these experiences
Yeah.
that not everyone else has. And for me, it's important for me to take that with me and bottle that. And I can't be hooked to a
Can't be
phone in
distracted
the
on
moment
that,
when
yeah.
that's happening.
Well, last night when I was filming and talking and watching you guys, because I have been to Pat's and I, we're lifelong friends, so it wasn't a first experience for me, but I was watching you, and I could tell like you got like emotional. It was like something was going on inside you.
Yeah.
Share what happened.
Well, it was really cool because, I mean, there's so many times where you might be told you're different, or you might be made to look different or something, and you kind of become this caricature, a character.
Right.
And there are times where I think, this is not that weird. Maybe you're weird.
Yeah.
you know? And seeing Pat and her house and her just whole presence was a really emotional experience for me, because it makes you feel good that there's other people like-minded out there, who just deeply appreciate the sentimental side of this stuff that we buy and sell.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's things that are valuable that don't excite me, and there's something that that might remind me of something, or see someone else sees and it reminds me of them something else. Like, just that's what's really cool about it. The fact that you can't buy that.
You can't buy it.
You can't buy that.
I have a cat in my collection now.
Yes.
A wooden cat, and I have it because of the memory.
Yes.
It was the goofiest thing. We're on a house call, and we're sitting there, and we're doing a YouTube video, and I look at this cat, and I pick it up, and it just like hit me like this is, I gotta keep this. This is the memory of this entire experience. And it was one of our first YouTube videos, and now I'm like, that cat means more to me than a $10,000 vase would
Exactly.
mean. You know, it's like, it's priceless in my eyes. It's that, but it's the memory.
Exactly. And I have things like that too. I'm very careful about what I keep, because otherwise I'd have
You'd be
so
like
much
Pat.
stuff. Yes, I'd be like Pat, and I don't have the space to be like that. I don't have creative reign over my walls like that. And yeah, I'm very careful about what I keep. And if I find something that I've never seen before that gets me excited, I usually keep it for a while, like truly excited. And then if I see it again,
It's gone.
it's gone. All it takes is me seeing it again. Even if I don't buy it, it's gone.
It's gone.
But it's the stuff that's really not worth anything. Like I have these miniature plastic Santas, and I mean, it's one of the things I would grab in a fire. There's probably buckets of them over there. But-
Why? What do I mean something? What happened? The story
because
behind it.
every Christmas we played this the Postman game. It was a game that my mom and I would play, and the game pieces were these little miniature Santa Clauses made in Hong Kong.
Oh.
And there's probably bags of them everywhere.
Somewhere,
but they
yeah.
came with this book and this game piece, and it was what we would do for
that's so
hours.
cool.
It was so cool, and I have them sitting on my dresser.
That is awesome.
And they're not worth more than $1. The whole lot of them.
But you know what? You relate those to your mother. And,
Yeah.
And it's your memories and your
Yeah,
love
they'll
and your
never go
time
anywhere.
with your mom, and that's priceless. Like, it means more. I get it.
Exactly.
I totally understand.
It's like the car. People leave me notes on my car all the time because, I got it fixed up, my Volkswagen and stuff. People have offered me crazy money, and my dad and I've actually argued about it a few times. When my business wasn't as successful, he was like,
Sell the car. And you're like, no.
what are you doing? You're sitting
Yeah.
on, a completely restored classic car. I said, It's not going to, I don't care. It wouldn't matter.
Money is not an object.
Money's not an object.
Yeah. That's something I the first trip that when I met you that really stuck with me is how you don't value that, you don't value stuff or money or any. You value your friendships and your relationships.
Exactly, because that's what matters at the
And
end
that's
of
what
the
matters.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Money comes and goes. Sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't, and there was a point where I was bankrupt. I lost my house. I did all this stuff because I made a bunch of dumb decisions. I didn't have 2 nickels to rub together, But at the end of the day, of course, there's something to be said in having some type of security.
Right.
But anything over the bottom line of what I need, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
As long as I try to be responsible and make sure I'm taking care of
Sure.
to an extent, make sure the lights are on and treat myself here and there because I work hard.
Oh, absolutely.
But other than that,
Yeah.
if it means more to someone else, that's all that matters.
Yeah, it's interesting. You talked about having hard times when you go through life, and I get it. Like I was driving back from Florida one time and buying and selling and owning the auction. I didn't own the antique center. Obviously, this is going back 15 years ago or something in that range. And we're driving back from Florida. I'm thinking I can no longer make money in this business. I think it might have been like 2008 when everything changed really rapidly. It got really bad. And I didn't know what to do. And I was like, Lord, if you want me to stay in this business, then bless it. Otherwise, I'm done because I just lost money 10 months in a row, and I can't afford to do 2 more months. Like we'll be bankrupt if I keep going this path. You find a way. The doors open up, and we weren't starving. And
But you have to listen.
Like, that's fine. You do. You have to listen.
You have to listen.
Yeah, that's important. Man, what an exciting adventure Kate is having right now in life, and I hope you guys. And if you didn't see our, what top? There would be a Whatnot in YouTube last night, right?
Whatnot in YouTube.
So if you go back and find, I'm not sure when this will air, but go back and watch our glow hunting YouTube Whatnot experience here at the Heart. After we do that, we go to Pat's house, and Pat, if you haven't seen her videos yet, she's an amazing woman. She's 92 years old and has a house full of memories and stuff, and is excited to share it. Anyways, we did both of those things last night, and I'm sitting here with Kate. Such an honor to get to know Kate, and a privilege. And
Likewise.
you guys, make sure you're following her on all of her stuff on Whatnot on YouTube and anywhere else she is. Follow that bug because she is such an awesome person.
Thank you. I feel the same. I feel super blessed to be here and meet you guys.
It's interesting how it gets all the doors open and things happen. You gotta listen.
I do much more of my stuff with my gut. than I do anything else.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. The same thing happened. That's when Josh and I were talking about inviting Jocelyn to come on the house calls with us and stuff, and we were both like, I think we're supposed to do this. Let's just go talk to her, you know. I don't know why, but I'm like, you want to go eat with us and go on some calls? And she's like, sure.
Yeah.
And then now all of a sudden
it's like this huge thing.
It's this huge thing now. It's really cool. You gotta listen. You gotta listen. You gotta listen. Enjoy life. Have fun. Listen. Be like Kate.
Take chances.
Take chances, guys.
Life's too short not to.
Life's definitely too short. Well, blessings back to you guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget our other YouTube channel at Heart of Ohio Antiques, and follow that bug on Whatnot. She's selling all over the world, really. I mean, hopefully all over the country for sure. She goes everywhere. She sells whatever she finds on trips and just keeps it fun and entertaining, and you're gonna love her if you haven't seen her yet. Blessings, guys. Thanks for watching.